need air, smooth skin, and they communicate by songs. They have bones and they eat krill. Very good. We also have that they travel in packs. They migrate for breeding offspring. Very good. They are normally harmless to humans. They are not afraid of sharks, since in big packs they can protect themselves. Great job. You guys did a great job coming up with those characteristics. What is the problem you seem to be having, Anne? Okay, are yours? Can't hear me. Are your speakers possibly muted?
Okay, I have just changed my speaker setting. Does that help, Anne? Maybe you can hear me now? Okay, maybe you can hear me now, Anne, if the rest of you could take that poll as well. No, you cannot. Okay, go ahead and go down to the bottom left-hand side where you can't hear me. Okay, while Anne is checking hers, we are going to go ahead and get started. I am going to run a little late today since I had some technical difficulties this morning. So if you need to leave, I completely understand that. We are going to talk about marine mammals. Marine mammals are found all over the oceans. We are going to start this week with marine mammals and continue through next week, since they are one of the more popular animals that we will talk about. So there are approximately 200 million years ago, another group of air-breathing vertebrates, which means they have a backbone, the mammals, evolved from now extinct types of reptiles. They evolved into the phylum Chordata, the subphylum Vertebrata, which means they have a vertebrae, and the class Mammalia. Now, you guys came up with some great characteristics of marine mammals. Lots of those characteristics are shared by all mammals. These mammals, whether they are land mammals or marine mammals, share these four common characteristics. They are warm-blooded, they have a four-chambered heart, and they have fur or hair to retain heat, not feathers. They also have mammary glands to produce milk for young. Does anybody want to read about this slide about marine mammals in particular? in the types of marine mammals? Go ahead, DeAndre.
Like the marine reptiles and birds before them, several different types of land animals successfully invaded the ocean. Sea lions, sea lions, and the walrus, and sea otter and the polar bear, manatees and dugongs, whales, dolphins, and porpoise.
Great job. There are 120 species altogether of marine animals, marine mammals. Next to them up here, I put the orders. The seals, sea lions, and walruses are in the order Pinnipedia. The sea otter and the polar bear are in the order Carnivora. The manatees and the dugongs are in the order Sirenia. And whales, dolphins, and porpoises are in the order Cetacea. All marine mammals arose from land ancestors and have become adapted to a marine existence. They have a streamlined body shape that reduces drag. Their limbs have been modified into flippers. They have evolved a means of retaining large quantities of oxygen to facilitate long dives, and they have very concentrated urine. It's very saline. All of these characteristics have allowed them to become better adapted to live in the water. Now, when we talked about fish, the bony fish, and sharks, we also talked about the fact that they have a streamlined body to reduce drag. This is a characteristic of most animals that live in the sea. In the United States, the marine mammals are protected by the Endangered Species Act of 1985 and the Marine Mammal Protection Act of 1972. These two acts prohibit the capture, harming, and/or killing of any marine mammal. The seals, sea lions, and the walrus are part of the order Pinnipedia, and they are nearly exclusively marine. Here's a picture of some seals in the water. Would anyone like to read this slide about pinnipeds for me? Any volunteers? No volunteers today? Okay. Seals, sea lions, and walruses are pinnipeds, which means fin-footed. They evolved from a terrestrial carnivore. They're predators. They feed mostly on fish and squid. They have streamlined bodies for swimming. They have a very thick layer of fat or blubber for insulation. They have food reserves in this blubber, and the blubber allows them to be buoyant. Raise your hand if you know what buoyant means. Buoyant. Does anyone know what buoyant means? Buoyant means it's something that floats. Here's a picture that shows a comparison between sea lions and fur seals versus seals. Go ahead and take a look, read the little captions, and we're going to discuss this in a minute. All right, once you guys are all set, I'm just waiting for one more. Then we are going to see what you know. All right, so you have up here sea lions versus seals. We're going to figure out which you guys know. They may look similar, but there really are lots of differences between sea lions and seals. Which has a neck it is able to turn in the water? Which has a neck it is able to turn in the water? Okay, go ahead and choose it in the, oh, I don't know why that closed. Hold on. A sea lion, correct. All right. Let's take a look at this next one. Which has an external ear? A seal or a sea lion? Which has an external ear? A seal or a sea lion? You are correct. A sea lion has an external ear. All right, so let's try one more. And let's see. Which cannot move his posterior flippers forward? Which cannot move his posterior flippers forward? Very good. A seal. Okay. Great job checking out that image. So seals are earless pinnipeds. They have rear flippers that cannot be moved forward. They have no external ear flap. They have claws and fur on their flippers. And they have a short, robust neck. Here's a picture of a crab-eater seal. Here's a picture of a Weddell seal. Here's a picture of a leopard seal and a crab-eater seal. Now, if you look at that crab-eater seal, you can see that he has what looks like teeth marks or claw marks in him, that is because he was in some sort of fight. There are lots of seals with injuries on them. So sea lions and fur seals are called eared pinnipeds. There are 15 species of sea lions and seals. They have a rotatable hind flipper. They have an external ear flap. They have a long, flexible neck, and they have no fur or claws on their flipper. Here is a New Zealand fur seal. Here are some seals found in the Northeast. A walrus is another marine mammal. Does anyone want to volunteer to read this slide about a walrus? Go ahead and raise your hand. No one wants to volunteer. A walrus is in the family Obinidae. They are large pinnipeds with a distinctive pair of tusks. Both males and females can reach up to 1 meter in length. They're tusks, not them. They are strictly Arctic. They are benthic feeders, and they feed primarily on clams. Sea otters and polar bears are also considered marine mammals. They are in the order Carnivora. The sea otter is the smallest marine mammal. It lacks a layer of blubber. Instead, the sea otter has extremely dense fur that traps air against the body for insulation. Sea otters and polar bears are found only in the Pacific Ocean and have the densest fur of all organisms. Sea otters inhabit near-shore environments and dive to the seafloor to forage on mollusks, crustaceans, echinoderms, like sea stars and urchins. Sea otters need to eat lots. They eat 25 to 30% of their body weight per day. Now here's a picture of a sea otter. Now there's a cool little story that I have that goes along with sea otters. Sea otters, when they eat, they have to crack open the shell of clams or scallops. So what they do is they take the scallop and they put it on their chest and they crack it with a rock. Now the neat thing is that this rock they get from their mother when they are born. They never lose this rock, and they keep it forever. So it's kind of a pretty neat story. They keep that rock with them. And the way that they carry it is they tuck it right underneath their fin. Now on the slide right now, it says sea otter as a keystone species. Raise your hand if you know what a keystone species is. What is a keystone species? Anyone know? A keystone species is a species that is essential to an ecosystem. Most of the time, it is the only species in that ecosystem that fills that particular niche or that particular role. So, here we have sort of a food chain. We have kelp, sea urchins, the sea otters eat the sea urchin, and then killer whales. The sea otters are the only thing in this ecosystem in the Pacific that feed on the sea urchins. So they are considered a keystone species. Polar bears are semi-aquatic mammals that spend a good deal of their life drifting on the sea ice in the Arctic. They feed primarily on seals, which they stalk at breathing holes. They are the world's largest land carnivore. They have thick blubber, translucent fur, and black skin. The polar bear is threatened by the loss of Arctic sea ice. Here we have an infrared picture of a polar bear. Where you see the reds and his eyes, and the purple is where he's losing the most heat. Where it is black, so most of his body, the polar bear does not lose much heat because he is so well insulated. Manatees and dugongs. Manatees are in the order Sirenia. Sirenians are known as sea cows. They have a pair of front flippers but no rear limbs. They swim up and down with strokes of their paddle, their back fin, like a manatee, or in V-shaped tail of the dugong. Their closest land relative is the elephant. Go ahead and give me a smiley face if you have ever seen a manatee in the wild. I have. When we used to go visit in Florida, there used to be spots where you could actually go and feed the animals. Here is a picture of a manatee. And we are going to compare it with a picture of a dugong. Now if we go backwards one slide, I have circled on here where the manatee was injured. The manatee in this picture, if you look closely at its tail, has marks taken out of it. Does anyone know how manatees, or why manatees, sometimes have marks or cuts on them or are missing parts of their tails? Paul, go ahead. Make sure you hold the button down the whole time, Paul. Try again, Paul. Why do manatees have injuries to their tails?
Because they get into fights with other animals.
Okay, they could get into fights with other animals like sharks or other larger fish that bite a chunk of their tail out. Very good. They don't fight each other because they're vegetarians, so they eat only vegetables. Anyone else have any ideas of how or why manatees could have injuries to their tails and flippers or backs?
They could cut something in the ocean, like right on a sharp rock, probably.
All right, good job. They could cut themselves on something. Very good. Another reason that sharks or manatees, another reason that manatees sometimes have injuries on their backs or their tails is they are very slow moving animals. So they get cut and injured by boats that are zooming over them, and they can't get out of the way quick enough, and the propellers can cut up either their fins or their backs or their heads. Okay, and the dugong is the same thing. You can see his V-shaped tail, but he also can have injuries on his tail because of boats or other animals. Sirenians, which are manatees and dugongs, are the only herbivorous marine mammal. Herbivorous means that they feed on aquatic plants and algae. Some species of manatees and dugongs live in fresh or brackish water. They inhabit temperate or subtropical waters. And they are severely threatened by motorboat collisions, harmful algae blooms, pollution, and severe winters. When they have severe winters, it gets so cold, and these animals can't move enough to keep their body temperature up, so they could end up dying. Now this is a sirenian. It's called a stellar sea cow that you will never see. This stellar sea cow was a large, herbivorous marine mammal that was found in the North Pacific. It was described by naturalist Wilhelm Steller in 1741, hunted to extinction within 27 years of discovery. It's 8 meters long. It fed on kelp. And one of the theories behind its extinction is otter hunting. Scientists believe that otters were hunted lots in the early 1800s, and these animals were either seen as a threat because they were so large, or they just got in the way, so the hunters would kill them. Alrighty. Now, what I would like to do today is we were going to do a little activity. Now, in your syllabus, I asked you to have some water in a clear container, tweezers, a small comb. Let me write these down for you. I'm going to put them on the whiteboard. And if you don't have your supplies, if you could get them, that would be great. Water in a small container. I'm using a 9 by 13 inch pan. Pepper. Some sort of cereal. Tweezers. And a small comb. So go ahead and gather those supplies if you don't have them already. If you can, it's not a big deal. I am going to try and switch computers again. Hopefully my other one is connecting now, so that you guys can see my video. So while you're gathering the supplies, I am going to log out and log back in.
All right, I am logged back in. I am hoping that you can hear me and see my video feed. If you can, if you could go ahead and just let me know in the text chat. Perfect. All right. Great. Okay. So if you have those supplies, what we are going to do is we are going to simulate how marine mammals eat. Now, marine mammals, we didn't get a chance to talk about everything I wanted to talk about today. However, we are going to go ahead and do this since we have the supplies today. When you talk about marine mammals, there are basically two different ways that marine mammals can eat. The first way is like us, with teeth. The second way mammals feed is with something called baleen. Baleen, and I'm going to show you real quick a picture of baleen. Maybe. Maybe not. All right, maybe not. Baleen looks like little hairs hanging down from the top of a whale's mouth, and they use them sort of like filters. So we are going to go ahead and we are going to simulate feeding. So I just have to angle my camera. If you have your stuff with you, if you could follow along, that would be fantastic. So here in front of the camera right now, you can see a container with water. We're going to pretend this is the water in the ocean. First, we are going to be a toothed whale using a pair of tweezers. We are going to have two types of food in our ocean. We have Cheerios, which are going to be a bunch of little fish swimming around in the water. And we are going to have pepper. The pepper is going to be krill, phytoplankton, zooplankton, small things floating along the water. First, we are going to be a toothed whale. So I have my tweezers. As a toothed whale, I am going to pick up my Cheerios and I eat them. And I go around eating all of the fish, some of the fish in the ocean, the larger fish. Now, if I'm a toothed whale and I want to try to pick up the pepper very hard, and I'm not very successful. So if I was a toothed whale trying to eat all of the krill in the ocean, I would not be successful. Next, I'm going to be a baleen whale. I'm going to be a baleen whale who is trying to eat the krill of the ocean. Basically, what the baleen whale does is it skims the krill into his mouth and takes out the pepper or the krill and eats it. Let me clean my comb off there. Now, if I was a baleen whale trying to eat these huge fish in my ocean, I'm not going to be very successful. I might catch one once in a while, but it just falls out of my baleen. I do not have the teeth to close on the fish. Go ahead and slide your water out of the way again. So, let's think about that. And let's look at our whiteboard. What would be some advantages to being a baleen whale versus being a toothed whale? What are some advantages of being a baleen whale? Go ahead and fill them in. And what are some advantages of being a toothed whale? Go ahead and put them on the whiteboard for me. Okay, you guys are working on the whiteboard, filling in advantages of a baleen whale and a toothed whale. Any ideas? Anyone going to put anything on the whiteboard? Advantages of being a toothed whale and advantages of being a baleen whale. All right, let's fill something out here, guys. Ladies, gentlemen. All right, great job. Someone put up under toothed whales that they were able to catch a meal with their teeth. So, maybe they can eat larger prey, so they don't have to eat as much. That might be an advantage that I would put there. They can eat larger prey, so they do not need as much. Okay, that would make sense to me. Okay, under baleen whales, I would put that their prey is very abundant. They need lots of it, but there is lots of it, so it makes it easier to find prey. They do not have to hunt as hard. Okay, right now someone's writing it would be very hard to be a baleen whale. Okay, good job on that. Now today, we talked a little bit about all of the different classes of marine mammals. One of the things that we are going to focus on next week is whales and dolphins in particular. What I wanted to do at the end of class today was start talking about them and look at something that these two marine mammals do that other types of marine mammals don't. And that is making noise. On your whiteboard right now is a picture of a minke whale. I'm going to turn on a recording for you of a minke whale noise. That noise, and I'll play it again in a second, is the noise that minke whales make to communicate with each other. Scientists refer to this as their song. Here, I'll play it one more time for you. Now, all different types of whales make not the same noise, but make some sort of noise. Up on your screen now is a picture of a sperm whale, and I'm going to play you their song. And that was the noise that a sperm whale makes. All of these songs are unique to not only individual species of whales, but sometimes scientists believe even individual whales. Now your homework for this week is to make a marine mammal presentation, which is going to be very similar to your fish portfolio you did at the beginning of the year. What I want from this is I want some pictures of your marine mammal. That can be a whale, a dolphin, polar bears, a seal, a sea lion, manatee, a dugong. It can be an extinct marine mammal if you would like, or a currently living marine mammal. With pictures, I want you to describe the animal for me. I want characteristics. I want to know how it eats, and I want to know what it eats. All of that information is up there on the Moodle site for you. Again, I'm sorry that we weren't able to get started right on time, but I thank you guys very much for all of your understanding today and willing to hang out for a couple of minutes while I got my computer situated. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next week. And I will give you the number if you stay on for 1 second. I just have to go grab it from my file.